Hi, PerspectiveWeather.com meteorologist Paul Dorian here on Friday, June 12th. A noticeably less humid air mass in the Mid-Atlantic region as we begin the last workday of the week here on Friday, and even more refreshing air pushes in on Saturday into the Great Lakes, into the Northeast U.S., into the Mid-Atlantic region, following the passage of a secondary cold front in the overnight hours. It looks like that pleasant air mass that arrives on Saturday will not only stick around through the weekend, but through much of the first half of next week in that same part of the nation, the northeastern quadrant from the Great Lakes to the East Coast, with high temperatures generally in the 70s in most areas, below normal for this time of the year. And this refreshing air mass that arrives tomorrow may not be the last one for the month of June. We'll take a look at that over the next couple of minutes here. First, I wanted to start off with a look at the latest sea surface temperature anomalies around the world. This is from the Canadian Met Center. A few different areas I want to emphasize here. First of all, we've talked about La Nina forming right along the equatorial region in the Pacific Ocean, and here it is. The blue represents colder than normal sea surface temperatures. About a month or two ago, we looked at colder than normal water just below the surface in this part of the Pacific Ocean through upwelling that has risen to the surface, and it continues to intensify right here with this colder than normal surface temperatures across the equatorial Pacific, and that in turn will have and continue to have an effect on the Atlantic Basin tropical season. Typically, La Nina conditions out here result in lower wind shear in the tropical Atlantic Ocean, and that in turn leads to more activity than normal. We've of course started off with more activity than normal during the month of May and the month of June. A second area I want to point out, notice the kind of the breeding ground area of the Atlantic Ocean is actually generally normal to above normal, right in this region right here, the Caribbean Sea down to the African west coast, right in this area. Anywhere from normal, which is represented here by white, and above normal with the yellows and oranges. So the breeding grounds of the Atlantic, anywhere from normal to above normal, and the equatorial part of the Pacific, below normal temperatures. La Nina setting up. Both of these areas really lead us to believe we'll continue to have active weather in terms of the Atlantic Basin tropical season. Really, that season has just gotten underway, and we have several months to go. Third area I want to point out, one very interesting area here. We talked about this a couple of weeks ago. A large area of below normal water is starting to set up here in the North Atlantic. This could be just a temporary thing, but it's been sticking around now for the last few weeks, and we'll continue to monitor that. A lot of people going to the beaches off of Delaware coast, New Jersey coast, and New England have noticed the water temperature is quite cold for this time of the year, below normal, and we'll continue to monitor that. That's always interesting to see if the North Atlantic may be getting ready to undergo a change to a colder phase, and we've had false starts before over the last several months and really over the last several years. But these are the three areas of interest right now in terms of sea surface temperatures. La Nina starting to intensify over the equatorial part of the Pacific. Meanwhile, in the breeding ground region of the tropical Atlantic, anywhere from normal to above normal, but the North Atlantic cooling off here, and we'll continue to monitor all three areas over the next several weeks. Well, let's take a look at last night's 6Z operational run of the GFS. First, we want to look at the 850 millibar temperature anomalies. Again, much less humid air mass has pushed into the Mid-Atlantic region this morning, Friday morning, but an even cooler air mass arrives on Saturday. That refreshing air mass will stick around through the weekend and through much of the first half of next week. And again, we mentioned at the onset here, this may not be the last pleasant air mass of the month of June. We'll go forward here for the next couple of weeks. Here we are, large area of colder than normal conditions, at least at the 850 millibar level as we begin the day on Friday here. Let's move forward here. The bulk of this air mass arrives by tomorrow morning in the Northeast U.S., in the Great Lakes region, the Mid-Atlantic. Well below normal for this time of the year. Look for high temperatures in the 70s over the next several days, and that is certainly refreshing for the middle part of June. Let's move forward here. Notice it really sticks around. Here we're a Sunday morning, Monday morning. Other cold air masses as well for this time of the year will exist over the weekend into the early part of next week out here across the Pacific Northwest and down across much of the South below normal conditions. We'll just keep moving forward here kind of at a quick pace here. Notice big blotch of colder than normal conditions by the middle of next week out in the Northwest, and continuing with some cooler than normal conditions in the eastern U.S. Sandwiched in between, warmer than normal across the plains. But watch what happens here as we go through the month of June. Another colder than normal air mass in the southern part of Canada, the northern plains, by about the 19th or 20th. That ultimately ends up in the northeastern part of the nation. Not necessarily the end of it here. Here's another colder than normal air mass. We're talking now about more than 10 days out here, about June 22nd or so, out here in the northern plains. That too ends up in the eastern states. So yes, we have a refreshing air mass arriving tomorrow. It'll stick around well into next week, and it may not be the last one, at least not for the Great Lakes, the Northeast, and the Mid-Atlantic region. And we saw a moment ago, other parts of the nation will also experience some pleasant air masses over the next couple of weeks. Well, let's now take a look at the surface forecast maps to kind of look at the sensible weather conditions at the surface here. First of all, starting off today, look at the blues here. That's how cool this air mass is. Snow up across the eastern part of Canada as we begin the day here on Friday. Cool frontal system has moved off the eastern seaboard. It produced some heavy downpours in the I-95 corridor region late yesterday, all the way from D.C. to Philadelphia. There were some downpours extended all the way to the coastal region, the coast of the Delmarva Peninsula, New Jersey coastline. And here we go, strong Canadian high pressure. Southern part of Canada, south central part of Canada. Anytime you have high pressure to your north this time of the year, that's a beautiful thing with refreshing air. And indeed, that moves right over the Great Lakes by tomorrow morning. At this time, that colder than normal air moves into the Mid-Atlantic region, northeast U.S. Refreshingly cool air mass will be really noticeable tomorrow night, the next night, with low temperatures in the 50s in much of the I-95 corridor region. Now, this time of the year, anytime you get colder than normal air in the upper part of the atmosphere, you combine that with daytime heating, and of course the sun is especially strong now as we approach the first day of summer in just a week or so. You get some instability in the atmosphere. Warm air in the lower part of the atmosphere, colder than normal air aloft. We could see the development over the next several days of cumulus clouds in the Mid-Atlantic region, and some of those could result in a shower from time to time, perhaps late tomorrow, certainly Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. Same kind of pattern with colder than normal air aloft, warm in the lower part of the atmosphere. Cannot rule out a shower on Sunday, Monday, or Tuesday, but again, much of the time should be rain-free. But watch out for a shower from time to time in this refreshing air mass just because of the instability caused by that cold air aloft. Here we are Saturday evening. Strong cold Canadian high. Cold for this time of the year up across eastern Canada. Again, that's a beautiful thing for places like northeast U.S., Mid-Atlantic region, Great Lakes. Let's keep moving forward. That high stays in control right through Sunday. Notice, however, a few showers here depicted by the GFS. And again, do not expect all day washouts by any means, but you can expect a shower from time to time in the Mid-Atlantic region. On Saturday and especially on Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. That high just sticks around here. So does some of the instability here across at least the southern half of the Mid-Atlantic region as we move into the day on Monday. And we'll just go out another day or two here Tuesday morning. Still high pressure in control over the northeast U.S. and some moisture moving in across the southern part of the Mid-Atlantic region with an easterly flow of air setting up around that high pressure, which is located over New England as late as the middle of next week. So bottom line, a nice way to end the work week here in the Mid-Atlantic region, but it gets even better for Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday in terms of temperatures. Highs no better than generally the low to mid 70s over the next several days, after perhaps reaching 80 to 85 degrees in D.C., Philadelphia, and New York City on this Friday afternoon. So that's it for now. For PerspectiveWeather.com, I'm meteorologist Paul Dorian.